Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsport sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Weesey.
Welcome to this very special episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by AMSOIL. This is our 100th episode, and it is packed full of amazing guests. Before I get into all the guests, though, there's a few things I want to cover with you. One is a few things about AMSOIL. So AMSOIL and I are working together to give you access to good information that you can take and apply to your sponsorship program. That's why we're here, so that you can grow as a racer or a rider, and that the overall motorsports industry can grow as well. Here's a few more things about AMSOIL. You've probably seen them all over the place, whether it's the AMSOIL Championship Snowcross Series or at Sturgis or on the side of Bryce Menzies' truck. They're all over the place. This is the reason why. They get it. They're gearheads, they're riders, they're racers. They get super pumped and excited about motorsports just like us. They're also chemists and engineers, which means they're really good at understanding and crafting synthetic oil. Their time at the track and on the streets lets them see firsthand how tough equipment can be on oil. And especially in this show, we're talking about racers and businesses that are out in the Nevada desert for Vegas to Reno. Just absolutely crucial environment for protecting your equipment. Super harsh, super extreme. That's what AMSOIL is there for. That's what synthetic oil is there for. AMSOIL handcrafts their lubricants to fight wear and resist that extreme heat, so you can get the most power and best performance out of whatever you ride. I want you to visit AMSOIL.com/sponsor for details. Check out their full line of products for anything you ride. Now, I hinted in that little section, little blurb there, that we were talking about Vegas to Reno today. So that's what happened. This episode here was completely recorded at Vegas to Reno. We sat down with a number of guests and talked about sponsorship, talked a little bit about the race, and we actually got so much, I'm breaking it into 2 episodes. So this first episode, we are going to be covering a number of awesome guests, all right? We've got 4x4 Barbie, Pleasant Cook, returning. She was last on episode 65, and so far is the reigning champ for best downloads in a show. So she was there with us, with Bold Racing, who we were linked up with. She was riding Kote, and I got to sit down and interview her. So we're going to kick things off with an interview from Pleasant. And then Jim Beaver came on. Jim Beaver was actually our first three-peat guest. He was originally featured on episode 4. Then he came back for 50, and it's only right that he's back for episode 100. Then we had Todd Robinson of Vision Wheels come on and talk about what he looks for. And then we had Buddy Hernandez of Mob Armor come on and tell us a little bit about his sponsorship program. And then Lance Robinson, who has been sponsoring this show for over a year, basically since the last Vegas Reno, from SolderWeld. Lance from SolderWeld came on and talked a little bit about his program. Kristen and Wayne Matlock came on and joined us. Kristen was just on a few episodes ago and absolutely crushed it. Then we had Race to Erase 22 come on. So this is a nonprofit organization that supports our veterans, and they talked a little bit about their challenges with attracting and retaining sponsors. So, huge episode there, and that's what we're covering today. Next week, we're going to have a special edition of Bold Racing. So we had Jimmy Moore, the owner of Bold Racing, his 2 sons, Jimmy Jr. and Joshua Moore, are also coming on that show. The next one is reserved just for them, and it's really cool to hear the perspective of Jimmy Jr. and Josh as well. Really excited to get that one out next week. Before then, though, I would love it if you headed to iTunes, left a rating review. That would be great. And whatever podcast player you use, go ahead and click subscribe. That's the best way to ensure that you're not going to miss upcoming episodes. Now, this episode was brought to you by SolderWeld. They produce game-changing metal bonding technology. TopThePodium.com. They're experts in motorsports sponsorship. Bold Racing and Suspension. They're a family race team and custom suspension experts. Armor Coat, they simplify your cleaning process. Crash Addict Industries, they provide human protection and extreme racing products. And then Racing Addicts, they're providing a whole new spin on networking and motorsports sponsorship. I also want to give a quick shout out to some of our other partners, including MBRP, HMK, Stud Boy Traction, GSP XTV Axles, and One Stop Performance. All right, that's enough of me blabbing on. We're going to get into the interviews.
All right, well, welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, powered by AMSOIL. Right now we're sitting out of the GSP XTV booth at Vegas Reno with Pleasant Cook, also known as 4x4 Barbie. So,
hey,
welcome.
y'all.
So you were last on, episode 65, I think. This one, when this releases, it's going to be 100, episode 100. So I'm pretty excited for that. But I just want to kind of catch up on things. I mean, we're sitting down today. Last time you were not a desert racer. Today you are a desert racer, right? So lots changed. I want you to tell me a little bit about kind of that journey, what you've started doing now with this whole desert racing program, and how you've maybe helped build your brand as a result and help build your sponsor's brand as a result.
Yeah, so a lot of things have changed actually since we last talked. I talked doing like short course racing.
Yes.
So that's really exciting. Just getting the feel of tracks. Doing an RS1 right now with G-Built Racing, so that's pretty fun. I'm super excited about this race here. I actually have to credit you for helping me get in contact with Bold Racing to drive and stuff. So thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity more than you know.
I'm glad it worked out. Like, it was actually shocking. So I've shared this story before on the show, but you and I interviewed, and then you said something at the end like, I would love to get into desert racing. And then I reached out to Jimmy Moore that night and was like, hey, Jimmy, what do you think? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And I think within like 2 hours, you guys had a time lockdown. So
I know, it's insane. He messaged, or you messaged me. He called me up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd love to. Vegas to Reno, let's go. I'm like, I gotta look up this race. I'm not even sure what I'm putting myself into right now.
Right.
But
it starts with yes sometimes. So.
Oh yeah, you just gotta take that leap of faith, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, but I'm so excited for it.
Yeah. I interviewed Jim Riley in the past, and Jim Riley just started a new podcast, and it's called The Answer Is Yes Podcast. And that's what it's based off, is like, just say yes, figure it out later, figure out the rest of the stuff later.
Exactly. You got like a month or two to worry about it. So just say yes, you'll be fine. I mean, you're not going to die, so you're good. Let's go.
Right. Well, this is an extension of your brand, right? I mean, you did the mini monster trucks back in the day, and you've been really popular in the motorsports world, and now you're getting into the short course racing, now desert racing. What does that kind of mean for your future growth path, or like where else do you think this is going to take you?
So I'm hoping this takes me, because I want to start doing like the short course more often, and I want to start doing more desert racing and stuff like that. I feel like that's important for me to build my brand that way, because not only you can do monster trucks where you jump cars and do donuts and pull on the show, but I also have the ability to race. Like I'm also have that racing background. I mean, monster trucks, they have a little bit of racing, but I mean, desert racing and short course racing, well, desert racing more than anything is like it's real racing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like that helps, kind of makes me more of a serious person to sponsor.
Yeah.
It makes, it kind of gets my name bigger to where these companies are thinking, oh, she's not just an Instagram model. She did do monster trucks at one point, but she's doing racing now. Like, I feel like that's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, I hope it just grows myself big enough to where I can start doing this more too.
Yeah. And then, going back to the Instagram thing, obviously you've got a strong Instagram following, and we talked about that in the last show. I think it's cool how you've been able to maintain what your original brand was, and then also build in a lot more of this racing piece too. And it seems like you're able to make those two work together. Like Jimmy and I actually talked in a different part of this recording live. We talked about you specifically, how you did your post yesterday. Was around the diapers, right? You took a picture of babies' diapers and said, like, so many choices. And for people who are listening right now, if you don't know desert racing, like, you're either doing a catheter or a diaper because you just can't stop and use the restroom, and you could be out there for 20 hours. So, it was funny how you did that, and then you led right into, I think it was a Monet post right after that, which you sell Monet. And Jimmy was talking. Jimmy's like, yeah, now I've got this. Like, I'm actually conscious now about my hair. He's like, my hair is thinning, and like maybe I need to take better care. Maybe I need some of this Monet products. And his wife actually purchased some Monet products as a result.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually bringing awareness to the hair hair problems, hair
Yeah.
issues everywhere.
Yeah, it's well, you guys can't see it here, but I'm losing a hairline pretty quickly. My 30s are definitely aggressive to my hairline, but I actually looked at that stuff. I was like, do I need some more hair products? I don't know, maybe.
I got some samples with me. I'll hook you up.
There it is.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good stuff. So for today, I mean, you were exploring a city yesterday, and now you're in the Tech and Contingency today. I mean, what are the other things that are on your mind prepping for this race?
I'm just excited. I got to drink a lot of water, stay hydrated. I'm being really conscious about what I eat right now, just making sure I'm just being careful about everything.
Yeah.
Really on my mind is just trying to relax, trying to get in my zone, like really meditate and realize what I'm about to put myself through. I don't want to be stressed out today. I don't want to have to worry about anything. I won't be thinking too much over everything.
Yep.
I don't want to overthink. I mean, that's a big problem for girls. We overthink. So I'm trying to really just meditate and just relax.
That's good. Now, from a social media standpoint, what's your kind of approach to today?
For today, it's just kind of showing people that's not able to be here or has never really been to a race before or an off-road race, and just showing them my contingency, showing them the cars, showing them different booths, showing them like how fun this really is, kind of giving them an insight to this. I know a lot of people like where I'm from like the Midwest, so we don't have desert racing. There is no desert. We have like woods racing and stuff like that.
Yes.
So just kind of showing the insight of like these cars, how awesome these machines are. A lot of people in my area have UTVs, so I mean, showing them the racing UTVs and stuff like that, that's interesting to people. I mean, they want to see this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and, I'm from Midwest as well. Right now I'm living in Michigan. I've been there my whole life, but, I didn't know anything about desert racing, and Jimmy is kind of the one that introduced me to it, and then as a result of that, I'm here, right?
Yeah.
You're here partially as a result of that, too, but it's really interesting how all that happened through social media.
Yeah.
And for example, SolderWeld is sitting in the booth next to us, and Lance Robinson, we just had him on this show too, and he basically contacted me and said, hey, I would love to market with your podcast, sponsor your podcast, so I can get more connection to desert racers. And I'm like, what in the world? I'm a Michigan boy. People in my state don't even know what desert racing is, but social media has kind of allowed some of that. Which is pretty incredible. So
it's crazy because through social media, this is my first desert race.
Yeah.
This is out west. This is my first race period.
Yeah.
So I mean, being friends with I'm friends with Katie Bernola and Ash Burton and Jim Beaver. These people that do this stuff all the time, and I'm just friends with them through social media.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me because they're they know who I am. They're saying hi to me. Sarah Price said hi to me at the Mint 400. She stopped me. She was like, "Hey, Pleasant." I'm like, "Hey," and I'm like, "How do you remember me?"
Right.
I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really cool how social media brings these people together and creates friendships that would never be there in the first place.
Right. It's good stuff. Well, I know you got a lot to think about, so I want to make sure you got your time to meditate too. We'll close things out. Is there anything else you just want to say to kind of end this show?
I mean, y'all just keep me in mind. Pray for me. I got to pee myself if I have to go. So just help me out there.
That's actually, I think that's probably gonna be one of the hard parts. I mean, I haven't had to deal with this yet, but I remember in the last the race last year, Jimmy Jr. was like, "Dad, you need to stop the car. I can't just do this. I need to think about it. I need to actually
It's I need to meditate on this. I need to put I need to be in the mindset to pee myself.
Right.
I'm going back to little preschool days.
Right.
I need to think about this.
It's okay to do it, but good deal.
You're not cool unless you pee your pants.
Great Billy Madison quote there.
Yep.
Well, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck.
No problem. Thank you for having me. See you guys.
Take care. All right, well, we're sitting here now in the GSP XTV Bold Racing booth, and Jim Beaver's here.
Being stocked by Pleasant Cook, a.k.a. 4x4 Barbie. We got to get that in the live part.
It's in there now.
Yeah, it's in the live part. Just for the record, 4x4
Yes.
Barbie stalking me right now.
That's exactly it. And she's not even paying attention while you're saying that right now.
I'm totally throwing her under the bus. She is not paying attention.
Doesn't even know about it.
I'm going to get the finger here in a minute, I got a feeling. But no, it's all good. I've been friends with Pleasant for a long, long time. She's good people, and no, we just seems like we run into each other a lot at events and things like that. So,
Definitely. Yeah, and for people listening right now, I don't know when I splice and edit this show. I don't know if Pleasant's going to be before you or after you, but either way.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so
I might do that on purpose.
I'm following her. So
I might do it on purpose.
It's going to totally flip it on me, and it'll be like, oh, he's really stalking her.
Yeah, I might do it on purpose. But, so, Jim, you've been on episode 450, and then now this one 100. So you're actually the first three-peat guest. So
Sweet. like the Chicago Bulls three-peat.
That's it. So we've had a chance to talk about a lot of things. I mean, the first show we got some pretty good intro from you, and you kind of gave us some high-level insights into sponsorship programs. And then in episode 50, we dove deeper into, like, how do you take those things to the next level. But now I know that you've taken a lot of your program to the next level. Part of that, you're diving into, the announcer world more than ever. So I want to understand a little bit more about that and how that's helped you build your brand, and then we'll go into a couple other questions.
Yeah, it's well, I started out in radio, and it's one of those radio/podcasting, however you want to put it. But yeah, it was one of those where a couple years in, like you get to talk on one mic, and then opportunities started opening. Hey, can you help us announce this? And we're not talking major stuff. It was like podiums at a local motorcycle race to start with, and things like that. And did it, and then doors open, and then you're in the live MC world, right? And then you're announcing and. Big difference in being a live MC and TV host, but you gotta get that street cred, and you build that up, and and that's good because like my first big job was working with Red Bull Global Rallycross, and then all of a sudden you're with Ken Block and Pastrana, and Brian Deegan at that time, and some of those guys. And so you're around them. Dave Mira, one of my very close friends that that left us way too soon. But, you're around those guys, and then you really got the street cred. But then as a radio guy, it opens you up to like, hey, it's really easy to get these big interviews now.
Right.
So there was that, and then it was slowly. I was doing live MC work, and I was working with Terracross, and they needed one of their regular TV guys was gone, sick, something. They're like last minute, hey, do you think you can do color commentary for one of our races on TV? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, we need you to. And so it was like it was like the one shot. It was the call.
Yeah,
like you get to do one show. And, drove to Studio City like literally on 24 hours notice, went over there and never done TV before and knocked it out of the park on a voiceover. And, and then they're like, oh, you can do this. And then like the next year, hey, can you do the whole season?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can do the whole season. And, and so did all the Terracross, and then Lucas Oil contacted me this year, and it wasn't anything I solicited. I didn't hustle for it. I didn't really have any connections at Lucas Oil, and they called me out of the blue, unknown number. I picked it up, thinking it was probably a bill collector.
Yeah.
Or a salesman, and they go, hey, we'd like to hire you to be, television host for Lucas Oil this year for the off-road series. And I'm like, are you interested? I'm like, it's one of those where you can't say yes fast enough.
Right.
So that happened, but it was I'd built up enough credibility with some of the TV I'd done, some of the live announcing, and then I had a basis. I drive off-road vehicles. I'm at the events. I know the drivers. So it was one of those where it's been phenomenal. Been a great year with those guys doing the short course stuff in the Midwest. The Crandon's coming up. I say Lucas Oil, AMSOIL's got just as big a stake in off-road in the Midwest as Lucas does. But it's been fun, man. It's TV's a different type of broadcasting, but especially the live stuff. Voiceovers are easy. You can always stumble, and then they can spin it back a bit and just revoice it live. It's like you got to be on point, But it's been fun. It's just expanded my brand, So now it's just one more thing I can do. It's one more thing on the resume that I can offer to people.
Yep.
No complaints, man. It's been a wild ride, and really excited, to be where I'm at.
No, it's awesome. And one of the reasons why I want to dive into that too is I want people listening to think of other ways that they can add value for their sponsors. Whether it's in your case, you have the podcast, the radio show, and now this live announcing pieces. There's other things like that outside of just racing that I think racers can think about and can do. Maybe it's not these things, right? Maybe it's not what you're doing, but there's got to be something different that people can do. I think we need that in the motorsports world.
Yeah, well, and I think, too, a lot of racers now, social media has become the big thing, and they forget about their websites and blogging.
Yeah.
And I know it's like I just sat in a sponsor meeting Tuesday. I don't know when this is going to air, but a couple days ago. It was one of those we were talking about thing, and, there's branding on a race car, but they really didn't care about that. It was social media content. It was website content. It was email distribution lists.
Yeah.
It was, certain tags and coupon codes, and it was a racing sponsorship, but it really wasn't. It was a marketing sponsorship, and I think people lose sight of that, And it's even if you've got a website, you can get one. I don't know, you can design your own.
Yeah.
But start blogging on there. Tell your story. Like, get that traffic. It's like I tell everybody. I'm like, how many emails do you answer a day? And I'm like, every single time you get an email, you ought to be taking that email address and throwing it in your list. You know. So it's one of those, and you're going to start off with 20 people on your list, but slowly it's going to grow to 100, 200, 300. Now I'm I think at like 20,000.
Yeah,
but you start getting to that, and then you've got real value.
Right.
But it's a slow burn. It's just like we've talked about podcasting. You start out in the first episode, you got 10 listeners.
Yeah.
But then you set a goal. It's like, all right, I want to get to 50 an episode. Then I want to get to 100, and then I want to get to 1,000 an episode. And you got small steps. I think everybody looks at it and goes, oh, that's big. I'll never get to that point. Well, you're never going to get to that point if you don't start trying today.
Right. And, there's two things that I want to pull out of that conversation real quick. One is the website, and then two is the email marketing piece. So for the website, this is a very common question that people ask us on the show is it worth it to have a website now? I've got my Facebook page. I've got my Instagram page. I got Twitter or whatever it is. The answer, in my opinion, is still yes. One, you get full control of your website. You can post whatever you want on there. You have access to blogging in most sites. And it's you have ownership. If Facebook decides to choose their structure, it could impact your visibility significantly. Now, that would still happen regardless, but it's good, I think, to have your website be that central hub, that central point of contact.
And that's it. You can control your own narrative with that. And you even see, like, if I've got a story to tell on Facebook or a press release, I posted the link on Facebook.
Yeah.
I want to control the traffic because, like you said, if Facebook, we never know what Facebook's doing.
Right.
They're the most bipolar company I've ever seen. Literally, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what Facebook is going to show up what week.
Right.
And so I don't want to be in business with somebody like that. Like, I'll use them when they're good, but if you have your website and you grow the traffic there, you'll always have that to count on.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's huge. And then the next thing is email marketing. We talked about this a little bit on the show in the past. We had Megan Meyer of the NHRA circuit, and she is big into email marketing. And it's something that I definitely have not done good with. But if you can get access to a good email marketing campaign, and then you have a strong list available, you can then control that. And the click-through rate on an email, even if you only reach 10%, like at least they saw the email. With social media, you can't control who actually gets it. With the email, you can control at least who, for the most part, who gets it. Where social media might scale that back to 1% of your followers.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good. Well, and it's like with me, I've got three different distribution lists, and one is radio-centric.
Yeah.
One is media-centric, which is just media outlets and people that have opted into that list. And then one is, a fan list and things like that. And depending on what PR or if I'm sending out a newsletter, certain people get certain things, so you can target them.
Right.
But then, the great thing is when they open it,
Yeah,
exactly. You've got those percentages. And then the click-through, then you know how many people actually clicked and went to your website and things like that. So that's stuff you can take back and you can sell. Be like, I've got 20,000 people that get my email. 8,000 people regularly open it, and 1,000 of those click on a link.
Right.
And sponsors want to know that. It's like just to have 20,000 email addresses. They don't know. I've seen on eBay where you can buy 50,000 people lists for $4.99.
Right.
How valuable are those email addresses? Yeah, I got 50. I guarantee you nobody's opening up those emails.
Yeah.
So it's like the same people that buy fake bots.
Right.
Followers on whatever.
Yes.
But. But if you can give hard analytics and data to a sponsor, that's where they go, yes.
Yeah, and that's huge. And if people are listening right now, they've never actually used an email marketing program. I mean, like MailChimp.
Yeah, I use Constant Contact. MailChimp's the same way. There's a bunch of them. I think Ella is another one. But, yeah, it's easy, and we're talking it's peanuts to start up. I mean, if you only have 100 email addresses, it might cost you $1 or $2 a month.
Right.
When you get a big one, it scales up your monthly cost. But, if you've got that many, you've got the money coming in to support the added fee to have 20,000 people there.
Exactly. But, it is very cool to be able to see, because you can see it. It's very easy. They make it pretty easy to see. This is how many I sent it to X amount of people. X amount of people opened it. This many people clicked on whatever link I put in there. It's very, very valuable info. So if people haven't even tried it, at least give it a shot. It does take time to grow it and get good at it, but there's also, there's programs out there that can teach you how to do it better too. I mean, there's podcasts out there that can teach you just email marketing.
Well, and even Constant Contact. I mean, they have literally shell emails where you can just drag and drop your logo. And, and there's people that tell you how to formulate or the correct format for a newsletter or a press release. And I know people that write press releases for $100. So if you can't do it yourself, we're not talking a lot to get a professional press release out there.
And that same goes back to the website piece. I just had topthepodium.com build my new website. My first one I had done, and it was,
Mine was done on Weebly, my first one with
Yeah.
a free service. You know.
Yeah. It was all right, but now, like, I want to show people my website now, and it costs money, but it's worth it, and I control the information, and I can see who's been visiting, and I can control the content on there, so it's good stuff. Well, I had another thing that I want to talk about briefly, and you touched on it in one of your shows recently around the video or the impact of live video on motorsports, and I think the topic of that, I think the question was, what's the impact going to be on the motorsports world the next year? And part of what your response was, too, is like, well, it's going to have an impact, but wait, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to be amazing. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit here so that this audience had access to that info.
Yeah, well, live video, it's one of those where I think every major motorsports series now is, they've got some type of live stream, even action sports, you know what I mean? There's some type of a live stream component. And especially now with Facebook, it used to be very expensive to do a live stream. Now a TV quality one is very expensive. But to get a live stream, it's not expensive at all. I just did one from General Tire 5 minutes ago, for 10 minutes. But, everybody, in the next 12 months, you're going to see more adopters, and things like that. I think the next 2 to 3 years, it's like I said in that show, it's how many people do you hear about cutting the cord?
Yeah.
And nobody wants that $150 direct TV bill.
I cut it. Yeah. I cut mine last year.
So, you're case in point. So everybody's cutting the cord, and they're still going to want video content. It's not like they're just going to quit.
Yep.
So, and they're still going to want live motorsports, live sports.
Yeah.
They're just going to get it online instead of via television. So I think it's crucial. And like I've told people, all along, I think for a while YouTube went away because Facebook video got so popular. Now with Facebook becoming a bit of a train wreck.
Yeah.
And it is. That's you ask any athlete, they're going to tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
Or any brand for that matter, anybody with a page. I think YouTube's making a resurgence.
Right.
My daughter, she's 9, and I love having a 9-year-old daughter because I swear she is the best. To watch market trends, you just watch a 9-year-old. Because you watch her.
She was so intuitively.
She was the first one to want a fidget spinner before I even knew what a fidget spinner was, and then they blew up. And she's on YouTube all the time. All she does is watch these gamers and these live streams and these people that cook, and it's all on YouTube. And I'm like, YouTube went away for a bit, but man, I think they're going to come back in the next 12 to 18 months stronger than ever because. One, they're not like Facebook, and they're not playing games. They're just there, and they're solid, and it's a platform, and they're putting it out there. But I think with people cutting the cord, they're going to need that content somewhere, and I think it's going to be, YouTube as well as these other sites that, you've got Lucas Oil TV, you've got Netflix, Hulu, Amazon.
Yes.
There's so many places, so I think they're going to be just as hot as YouTube. Red Bull TV's another one.
Right. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the kid aspect. So I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they watch this show on YouTube where these kids play with toys. Like they open a toy and play with it.
Unboxing, right?
Yeah, and it's incredible, and they'll watch it. Like that's all they want to do is watch the show. But then you find yourself at the store, you're like, oh, I've actually seen this toy before. That's actually kind of cool. I know how it works.
Yeah.
So it's working too from an influencer marketing standpoint. But yeah, I think I'm excited to see where it's going to go. I think that Facebook is really going to have to, reconsider its strategy with some of the brands out there because, like you're saying, the throttling back that they do and how consistent it is, it's tough to predict then what your post is going to do or what it's going to perform or what you should put money behind and what you shouldn't put money behind. And I think that's gonna scare some people away for sure.
Yeah, well, and I think with Facebook too, it's they tried to do so many things that I think they started doing everything, excuse my language, half-assed. I think it was just one of those and that goes back to motorsports. It's great to grow, but you've got to do one thing really well before you start doing 5 things.
Right.
So it's like if you want to do your website, concentrate on that, grow that, and then it's like, all right, we're going to grow the next thing. And that's what every year I've got a yearly goal. I want to do this year. I want to get this accomplished. This year is e-commerce, and I've got a legit online store being built. So all the partners that I work with, I've got a place where people, the parts I'm talking about all day long, now they've got a place to get them.
Yeah.
But that was my one goal this year, But it was like I needed to get my website in order before I added the e-commerce store to it, So it's like, baby steps, and and don't try and do 5 things at once, and I've always said that, small steps. Have a yearly goal, have a 3-month goal, have a 1-month goal, and achieve those and go to the next thing.
Right on. Well, Jim, we'll just kind of close things out. I mean, do you want to give your sponsors a shout out here?
Yeah, for sure. Out here with obviously Race at a Polaris Razor, but I'm here with General Tire and Vision Wheel. They both jumped in for this round and definitely helping me out a lot. Obviously, Dirtfish is a big supporter of mine. I mean, we've got Casey Highlights, Gibson Exhaust, Moto Shield. I mean, I've got some amazing partners, HCR Racing. But yeah, just Vision Wheel and General Tire definitely helped me get to here, as well as Polaris Razor. I know the boys at Vision Wheel. I think you had breakfast with them this morning. They like to have a good time. So
it's funny though. I talk about this on the show periodically. A lot of how relationships are formed. You would never predict it, right? So I'm sitting down I just walked into Denny's, right? Just randomly. It's close by. Needed some food, and there's 3 guys there with Vision shirts, and I was like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They're like, "You want to join us for breakfast?" Sure. So, I sat down with them for an hour and ate breakfast, and it was a good time.
Yeah, they're good. Tons of fun. And I was just last weekend at Bark River with them, and we had a blast back there. So
good deal. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you taking the time. I hope you have good luck in the race, and, appreciate it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man. Take care.
What's up, everyone? This is Mike Pasquarella, founder of Desert Vets Racing. When the team goes racing, we always have our SolderWeld products with us. Keeping the cars in the fight is our number one concern. With SolderWeld, we can do that. SolderWeld is a leading company in the U.S. for aluminum repair. They specialize in radiator repair on the fly. If you're stuck in the middle of the trail or a race with a hole in your radiator, oil pan, or canister, or even an aluminum line, you can fix it right then and there in a matter of minutes with their AMSOIL aluminum repair rods and flux. It's the only complete and lasting fix in the off-road community. SolderWeld's new UTV off-road kits fit in every ride and are easy to access on the fly.
SolderWeld continues to make a huge positive impact on this industry. So I really encourage you, get in there now. Go to SolderWeld.us, check out their products, because this stuff is changing the game. Are you ready for an entirely new approach to motorsport sponsorship and networking? I'm assuming the answer is yes, because why else would you be listening to this podcast? We are excited to be teaming up with Racing Addix. They are legitimately questioning and challenging the status quo on sponsorship. Once you become part of their network, they will first off sponsor you directly, but then also help link you with other companies who are dedicated to making motorsports better and providing you with additional sponsorship opportunities. This is crazy stuff. If you're excited about this, then join the club. Your next step is to head over to the social media and find Racing Addix, give them a follow, and stay tuned for what's next.
Well, so we're here today, Vegas to Reno, and right now we've got a rep from Vision Wheels here. So this is Todd Robinson. So Todd, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and about Vision, and then we'll dive into a few questions.
Sure. Todd Robinson. I'm the National Sales Director of Vision Wheel. We're here at Vegas to Reno, the biggest American off-road race, desert style, and we're here to represent our products and also support our athletes that are racing. We got several of them out here and out here to have some fun and win the race.
Definitely. Well, in the pre-interview we talked a little bit about Vision's branding strategy and how that's changed over the years and how it's kind of adapted into what it's today, and the reason why you're here today at Vegas to Reno. So maybe let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about that strategy and that shift.
Sure. Vision Wheels, 42 years old.
Yep.
Started back in Decatur, Alabama. Roger Miner's the founder and still owner of the company. Got into aftermarket wheels and started doing a lot of OE and contract work, making wheels for other companies, not branded Vision Wheel. So about nine and a half years ago, we came to work, my guys in our location, we're out of Chicago, came to work with Vision Wheel and decided that we're going to grow the brand. And the first thing we did is we wanted to get into off-road and motorsports marketing. Yep. That was our first foray into marketing the brand, changed the logo, updated it, and got involved with that. The first thing we did is we got involved with a company called Wide Open,
Okay.
which is the Baja Challenge cars. They run out of Mexico, and they went on a tour with them with our partnership with BF Goodrich. Had another wheel brand on the car, and talked to Rob Ward, who's the general manager, and I said, hey, if something happens with this contract, my hand's up in the air. I'd like to be involved with this. I think it's something we want to do. So a couple months later, he called and said, our contract's up. Are you guys willing to fulfill this commitment? And we said, yeah. So that was our first entry into motorsports. The second thing was we got involved with Score. Several years ago, we became the first official wheel of Score for 2 years. Yep. And then at the end of that contract, we decided, let's go after some athletes. So quick story. The gentleman over at BF Goodrich, Nate Hunt, came to me and said, hey, you guys are looking to sponsor somebody. I think I got a guy. Okay, well, Nate, who is it? You ever heard of Rob McCachran? I heard of Hall of Fame Rob McCachran.
Yeah.
Current 1,000 winner. Yeah, we heard of him. So we met with him in Vegas at the SEMA show. A couple weeks later, he called after the 1,000 and he said, my current wheel sponsor is going to go away and we'd like to talk to you. So we started throwing the contracts back and forth. And it was right after the first of the year he called and said, everything's good, let's sign this and let's get it done. So I said, all right, great, I'll go get out to Vegas. And he says, well, I'm leaving tomorrow, I'm going up to Maine. We're doing the Frozen Rush race up there. So I said, okay, I'll go up there and meet you. So me and my son drove up to Maine that afternoon, signed the contract, watch him race up there, and then the end of the conversation was, all right, great, I've got to go back home and make you a wheel because we don't have one done yet. So we had to go home and make him a wheel, and that was our first sponsored athlete was Rob McCachran.
Awesome. And still is. He's still sponsored by you guys. I know that's a big deal. Right now this is a big race for him too, so that's exciting to see that. And I like when sponsors and businesses can share their story because they're going through the same hurdles that racers are going through. How do we grow? How do we get our brand out there? It's the same challenge that racers have to face. And I like it. I like talking with representatives from companies too, so we can remind people that there's human beings behind these logos and behind these products that have to make decisions. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Well, our philosophy is a little bit different than some of the other companies. I don't necessarily want our wheels on every vehicle out here.
Right.
And that's nothing against the other guys doing it.
Yeah.
I think we have a really good relationship with our competitors. Not going to name them.
Right.
Not giving them that love. But, we do have a good relationship with those guys, but there's different philosophies.
Yep.
We would rather have the top-tier guys, which we feel, because we'd like to consider ourselves, which we do. We're a performance company, so we're performance-based.
Yes.
Everything that we do is geared towards succeeding with the company, with the vision company, and also with our athletes.
Yep.
Another couple athletes that we have represented, still have a partnership with, is Keegan Kincaid.
Yep.
He's the Pro 2 driver in the Lucas Oil Midwest League. Jim Beaver, who's out here running today, the Star Car.
Yep, and he was just he's been on the show 3 times now.
Right, right. Good guy, guy. We also sponsor Team Thunderstruck, which is a trophy spec. And I'll tell you what, real quick on those guys, they're doing great. They built this truck. I think they got it finished 2 weeks before the 1,000 last year. Tisco truck, beautiful truck. They came in second, right behind the Cops team at the 1,000.
Oh, wow.
And then in Parker, I think they came in second. Mint, they didn't race the Mint. San Felipe, well, they had 2 or 3 seconds and then won the 500.
Okay.
So that truck's never been off the podium in the couple races, and it's not even a year old. So Austin Jones and Bryce Swain, those guys are kicking some butt.
That's awesome.
But back to Keegan. Keegan got some news today. He's going to be performing down at the 4x4 Jamboree in Indianapolis in 2 weeks, and was just named the Grand Marshal. So he's going to bring his Pro 2 down, and he's going to go out there and do donuts and hot laps as an exhibition in the tough truck area where the monster trucks are going to race. So if anyone in the area, go down there and check Keegan out. He's going to go have some fun down with all the 4x4 guys down in Indy in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's perfect. And there's 2 more big news items for Keegan Kincaid.
Two.
One is he's got his own little Traxxas truck now.
Yes, he does.
Which is so cool. Him and Justin Lofton. There's probably others too, but I've just seen those. And the next, probably the biggest thing, game-breaking, he's going to be on this podcast.
Oh, is he?
I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks from now. We've got time set up for him to come on, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, you tricked me there, because when you said he has got 2 things, he just announced a couple weeks ago that he's having twins.
Oh,
so congratulations, Keegan. I thought that's where you were going.
Wow, that would have been way better.
I know.
That would have been so much better. And I'm not going to go back and edit it out.
No, no, you can't. You can't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, twins coming.
Yeah.
Woo.
So and also just this past weekend he had his first victory with the new Pro 2.
Yeah.
So he did a great job up in Bark River. He took second on Saturday's heat and then won Sunday's race.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that was pretty cool. He had
good.
the first couple races had some bad luck. Flipped the truck in ERX in second place.
Yeah.
Went from worst to first almost. Flipped the truck, had to back half it, put everything back together, and then come out and take a second and first. It was a great weekend for him. Another guy we sponsor is Chad Horde. Another great guy, great family, great team. He was doing good too. In first place, had a steering problem on Saturday. In first or second place and caught a flat tire about 2 laps from the finish.
Yeah.
So he was looking good. I think he qualified first both days. I think he had the fast lap both days.
Okay.
But yeah, he. Just bad luck. Just these little gremlins. It's not called winning; it's called racing, as they say. And he came close. But that's been our philosophy on our guys. Also, the OTSF truck.
Yeah.
Andre and Brad, those guys are here racing in the trophy truck spec. So we're wishing them good luck too. They're a good bunch of guys also.
That's awesome. One thing I want to highlight from that whole conversation, and we talk about this in the show, is that the relationship between the sponsor and the rider is pretty important. So you knew Keegan Kincaid is having twins.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Not only that, you knew every single race performance he's had over the past couple of months or weeks. You know where he's going to be doing 2 or 3 weeks from now. I think that's pretty important. So when we talk about communication and we talk about, having a good relationship, that's an indication of it, is when your sponsor knows the things that you have going on and actually is excited about them. You seem genuinely excited about all these things that he has going on in his life.
Well, you have to be. We look at it as, it's a sponsorship, it's a performance-driven industry, and it's a performance-driven relationship that we have. But on the same side of things, they're people, they're families.
Yeah.
When you go to a race, whether it's a weekend race, whether it's a race down in Mexico, whether it's a race at Mint or short course somewhere, you're with these guys all weekend,
right?
And you do get involved with their family. Last year, or no, I should say the 500 this year, during the score races, we actually try to help out Rob as much as possible. And what we do is, it's a couple of us. It's me, my son Drew, Herbie, Jerry, our creative director. What we do is we get with Rob, and he tells us where he wants us strategically placed throughout the race, and we give him the backdoor times.
Gotcha.
Because I can't change out a water pump. I can't change out a drive axle.
Right.
I can change out a wheel and tire and throw, and do a visual inspection and maybe throw a fresh one on the rack. But to have someone behind him giving him split times, which is very important to know where the guys behind him are, so he knows how fast he can run.
Right.
It's better for us to be back there and try to play catch up in case there is a problem.
Right.
So what we did is we got to go with Amber, his girlfriend and team manager, her 2 daughters, and Rob's son. So we got to stay with those guys all day and just bounce around from race mile to race mile, giving him backdoor time so he knew how to push, where to push, and why to push it. So we do become part of the team during that, and it's a really, really cool experience. Anything that we can do to help these guys, we really try to, because, again, we want them to win.
Right.
And it is a badge of honor for us to be, hey, we're part of Rob's team when we get to do this, so it's pretty cool. Same thing, Keegan last year won his first race in the Pro 4 at Redbud, and I ran out and got, I don't know, a whole bunch of steaks, and we cooked out for the whole team and Luke Johnson's team because they share a pit. So even though he's running on the competitor wheels, doesn't matter. Come on over. So we sat there and had just a big cookout with everybody, and it was really cool because the racing scene, it's a family scene. So it makes it easy for us to really become involved with these people. They're good people. It's a good community. We really enjoy being in it.
Yeah. And I feel like you've given me some insights already to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What are the things that you look for in a brand ambassador? Vision wheel our philosophy from the owner on down, Roger, and his wife, Deanie. That's the two people that own the company. They instill in all of us, one, you're out there representing the brand. So we partner ourselves up with other people that will represent their brand and our brand the same way that we would. Besides the fact they've got to be good at what they do, they also have to be good ambassadors of the brand. We do take that into account. That is something very important to us. Yeah, definitely. And look, there's some guys out there that might be fun on the weekends, but it doesn't match up with our philosophy and our corporate structure. So there is part of that goes into our decision-making process. Yeah, I've shared this on the show before, but it just continues to apply, so I'm going to continue to share it. There's Simon Sinek. He wrote a book, and basically the premise of it is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Oh, yes. So if you are in alignment with a company's beliefs, you're more likely to actually purchase their products. And the same goes with the sponsorship program too. So what I try to tell our sales staff, to be successful, you have to sell yourself, sell the company, then you sell the product. Yeah, definitely. Because the product's got to stand alone, but you got to sell yourself first. That's everything you do, from work, regular relationships. You married, got a girlfriend, you sold yourself first. Right. Definitely. Well, good deal, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time. So one of the things that if people are listening right now, we got distracted. They're doing a little live giveaway. And the person who was won, I think, is sitting right next to us. So it's pretty cool to see that happen. He looks pretty happy about it. But they didn't win this UTV, did they? No. I'm not sure what it was, but I think it was a pretty significant prize. So more than a hat, less than a UTV. But yeah, exactly. Well, cool, man. Well, I really appreciate it. I think this was good advice for folks, and I love getting to see the inside perspective to how companies make decisions. So that's it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you. All right, well, welcome. So we're here now with Buddy Hernandez of Mob Armor, and we got a few things we're going to cover today. First off, appreciate you taking the time, Buddy, because anybody who's been to one of these events, they should know that there's just a big pull on the vendors, right? People are coming up and they want to know more about the product, and there's just a lot going on. So appreciate you taking this time, carving out your schedule. No problem. But first off, let's just kind of maybe do a quick intro of Mob Armor for people who might not have heard about it yet, and then we'll go in a few questions. Sounds good, man. So Mob Armor, we manufacture on-road and off-road mounting solutions for phones and tablets. Basically started whereas in we come from a background where I'm from is Pismo Beach, so we have the beautiful Oceano Dunes out there. And it's always going off-roading and having nowhere to put your phone. And that was the main thing. Even as a teenager, once you get your license in your first truck, just going out there with friends and having fun in the dunes. And it's either put on your lap or you put it in the cup holder and it's flying all over the floor and you're like, dang it. It gets underneath your brake pedal and you can't stop. Right. Yeah. So it's one of my good friends, he's our chief engineer at Mob Armor, Joel Hitchin, and he's came up with the idea of making a sturdy phone mount, something that wasn't plastic, something that wouldn't break or fall off of your dash, and that's where it started, was the phone mounts. And then, coming from a strong off-road background with me, because I also do photography on the side as well. So it's I've been around the scene for quite a bit, and it's just me connecting with Mob Armor. It was the perfect timing and basically the perfect stitch to the puzzle. And that that's where it led to with our iPad enclosures, because nowadays it's new generation now, so everyone's kind of phasing away from the Lowrance systems and going into more of the digital stuff with iPads and tablets. So it's okay, why don't we just start manufacturing iPad enclosure that's going to protect your phone when you're out there doing 100 miles an hour in the desert. Right. So then that's where that came in, and man, it's taken off pretty good since we've started, and we're about 4 years into production, and we've been doing some big things with some big people, and
it's definitely been growing. And the best part, obviously, is getting to come out here, see the same faces, meet new people, and just put support into the off-road community. And then it's definitely taken a big leap forward with the company.
Definitely. Well, one of the things that I think plays into that is choosing the right brand ambassadors, right? I talked a little bit about that in the pre-interview of the benefits there. And one of your brand ambassadors is Pleasant Cook, which is, she's known as 4x4 Barbie. We interviewed her as part of the show, too. And what I want to kind of understand from you is what are the things that you do look for from a brand ambassador? What are the things that your company needs from a brand ambassador?
So basically what we look for, nowadays, everyone uses social media for the free marketing, which is great because that's a lot of our marketing comes from that too. And, like somebody like Pleasant who has a great following on social media from anything from what she does as into like monster trucks or now that she's getting into off-roading, it's like, we want that. And it's something like that we look forward into somebody becoming a brand ambassador, obviously having the following base. Yeah. And somebody that's, for the biggest part, is takes interest in the product and the company, the company lifestyle. Yep. And that's the thing. Like we would hit her up and say, hey, this is this. Check out the product. We'll send you some samples. Let us know what you think about it. If you want to stand by it, we'll bring you on board. Right. And I actually met Pleasant a couple years back at the SEMA show. Okay. Because I do, like I said, my photography on the side, so I'd shoot for various magazines. Yep. And that's how I met her, was doing a magazine shoot. And then kind of like she got familiar with Mob Armor and we brought her on board. And she's been a big help. Especially being back east, which is like our demographic is more on the west side of the state. Yep. So it's like we need that area covered. And she's been doing a great job. And that's basically what we look for. And somebody that reps the company and stands by 100%. Yeah. One thing I like that you said, too, that, sponsored riders might not always know, especially if you haven't had a sponsor yet, is where you said – you took the product, sent it to them, said, check it out, try it out. If you stand behind it, then promote it. I like that. I like that tactic. I don't know if that's always the case, right? There might be people that says, just take it and use it, or, maybe people feel compelled to take it and use it, even if they don't believe in it. And I like that approach because if you're looking at a long-term relationship, you need to have buy-in on both sides of the product. Right. And that's where it all started. Like it's like, because there's a bunch of dudes out there that are famous, whether it's social media or just famous in general from other stuff. But it's like sending them product and being like, okay, well, here we go. And we've done that in the past to numerous people, but we've never got any feedback. Yeah. And it's like the part is where we need the feedback, we need the content, and like I said, 100% standing by the company. And that's where it all came in. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start up this ambassador program here where they are aware of who Mob Armor is and what we can do, like our capabilities and what we produce. And if they can agree to basically getting free stuff, as in free product, and give me back what I need on a basic monthly program, then we're both on the same page. And I haven't had an issue with it so far since I started this program about 2 years ago, and it's helped us a lot through social media mainly and the marketing, and it's gotten us to where we are today. Definitely. One of the things that I was going to ask about too is like your involvement in off-road and in motorsports. You explained that a little bit of why the company is getting into that, but why here? Like why desert racing? Why do you have a booth? I mean, what drives some of that? So basically what drives them, obviously is just making sure these, because like I said, everyone's switching to tablets. And since we've been here, obviously everyone's coming to buy iPad enclosures to protect their iPads because there's really nothing out there on the market other than like, Life Proof or, OtterBox stuff. But once again, nobody wants plastic. Compared to our straight CNC machined aluminum, and it's a big difference over there with the stuff that we produce. And, we stand by it 100%. And that's what, gets us out here to make sure everyone that's running that expensive tablet is covered. And the biggest thing, too, right now is everyone's been going live on social media through the races. And, using those suction cup phone mounts or those plastic phone mounts, doing 100 miles an hour, they're falling off. Yeah. And that's coming from them directly, not from us, obviously, because we're the competitor. But out of every phone mount we've sold, that's a story, And they're like, well, will this hold up? I'm like, well, here, test it yourself. And that's the big thing, too, is because anybody can sell something from the website to a TV show, But the real seller is when the hands-on, like
Yeah.
the people coming and
Yeah.
getting hands-on, filling the actual aluminum of those enclosures and phone mounts, and then filling those magnets that we manufacture. It's like they're super magnets is what we call them.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad that you brought that up about the live video thing. It's something that I do as part of this show. I do 2 live episodes a month, and you know, I'm trying to get the racing community more and more comfortable with it. And that's a restriction right now. People can't keep their phones or whatever protected well enough,
right?
Whether it's at a race or even if it's just in the pit. Sometimes there's so much going on around it. That's a good point, man. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's another thing too. People think that they can hold it in their hands while, and then you know the course out there is so brutal. Even when you can have the top suspension, it's still brutal.
Yeah,
and it's funny because one of our ambassadors, Blake Wilkie, I believe you know who he is.
And Blake was just on a show recently, episode 95.
Yeah, he I think it was last year's Jump Champs. He was using our mount going live, and it was on his dash, and his co-pilot, who I don't know who it was at the time, was filming on his hands, and they had the GoPro on their dash, filming it, and they hit one of the big jumps there, and they landed. Well, the co-pilot phone fell out of his hand, and he was all pissed. While Blake's phone stood perfectly in our phone mount and didn't go anywhere. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point though, and I think people need to think about that, especially from the brand ambassador side. And more people I talk to from a company standpoint, they're saying we want more of the raw footage, behind the scenes.
Right.
You know, the little snippets. You know, a 15-second snippet on uploaded to an Instagram story could be pretty valuable.
Right.
Compared to maybe paying a lot more money for a 30-second full mass production video.
Of course.
And I think what you're talking about, your products could help with that, which is good. And then you have to find people to give you those examples. Like with Blake, if you wouldn't have been sponsoring Blake, then you might not have gotten that example to share in this episode.
Oh yeah. So yeah, then that's another ambassador of ours is Blake.
Yeah.
And he's been helping out. He's plays a huge role in the off-road community out there. So. And just keep a note, there's going to be a Shreddy / Mall Bomber Edition phone mount coming out soon. So there's a little sneak peek to everybody listening.
It's actually funny. So Blake's episode did really well on the show, and I've been messaging him like, hey, it could be the top one, and I literally haven't responded to the message yet, but he sent it to me probably about 10 minutes ago asking me, like, is it there yet? Is it at the top? But you know what's funny? You should be happy about this. The next one of the top 3 and 4 episodes, 2 of them include 4x4 Barbie was one of them, and Blake was the other one.
That's
so
awesome.
The Mom Armor folks are cleaning up.
Yes, sir.
Cleaning up shop. So, well, good deal, man. I know you got a lot left to do today. I know you looks like you probably still have a group of people gathering up at your booth over there. So,
yeah, it's growing.
I appreciate your time. Do you have any just last-minute closing pieces of advice for people?
I just want to, do what you love.
Yeah.
Protect your phone and your tablets.
Yeah, exactly.
Come to us. And obviously, it's not just off-roading. So, we've hit it in we're starting to hit it in the trucking world.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll be in Dallas for the Great American Trucking Show.
Okay.
We've taken a big hit with the paramedics and first responders, firefighters.
Yeah, that's a good
They
point.
love our products and stuff. Because everyone, like I said, everyone's switching to tablets, whether it's any software stuff. So, we want to make sure everyone's fitted and secured and ready to go. But, fitness stuff, our phone stuff, and tablet stuff work for that. So, it's not just off-roading. Like, we service anything out there in the market. Your daily driver, your commercial vehicle for work, all that stuff. So,
good deal, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Take care. You have a great rest of your day, and good luck.
You too.
I hear it constantly from racers that a good suspension setup is absolutely critical for performance, and that's why I'm going to talk to you next about Bold Racing and suspension. Now, it's really critical to understand your suspension, and there's so many intricacies with the valving and the shims and all this crazy equipment that you need to actually, rebuild and properly set up your suspension, that it's really important if you're ready for that next level of performance to partner with an awesome suspension company. Now, Bold Racing is that company. They're not only specialists with their suspension setups, but they also partner with companies that produce amazing custom components. And on top of that, they're a family race team. They actually race themselves, so they really understand the type of beating that your vehicle and your shocks can take. So what I want you to do is give them a call and just chat with them. Talk to them about suspension. Their number is 702-506-5354. If you're not ready for a phone call, go ahead and shoot them an email, bold.racing@yahoo.com. I am constantly asking the guests of this podcast how they attract and retain sponsors. And on almost every single occasion, somebody gives an example of a resume. A rider or a racer resume is extremely important to your overall sponsorship pitch and proposal. And it's tough to do. I mean, it's not really the easiest thing. Anybody can go through and put together a resume, so don't get me wrong there, but it's really difficult to get something that's like unique and different and stands out, and that also is something that can be put across multiple platforms. Well, that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about next, is how topthepodium.com can actually help you build a race or rider resume that can be used on multiple platforms. I'm talking like website, PDF, something you can print off that's interactive, that looks fantastic. It looks absolutely professional. Well, that's because it's made by a professional. This is the type of thing that's going to set you apart from the crowd, and that's going to position you for a strong sponsorship proposal. So what I want you to do next is go to topthepodium.com, and if you have a question, there's a little chat icon that pops up on the side of the screen when you go to topthepodium.com, and you can go ahead and type your question right there. Jeff Vanestal, he is the owner of Top the Podium. He's going to be able to respond to you directly. So check it out.
All right, so here we're actually doing a second interview today with the Sponsor Rider Club podcast. We got Lance Robinson from SolderWeld here. And for people listening, if you've listened to more than one show, most likely you've heard about SolderWeld, because they've been sponsoring this show for a long time now. But it's the first time we've met face-to-face, right? So that's pretty exciting. I mean, I met Zeke last year out at this event, and that's kind of how we started this whole relationship. But what I want to know more about from you is, like, what's been your goal and your purpose, and, like, the process you've taken to get into this motorsports world, get into the desert racing world, and, like, sponsor riders, things like that. So let's kind of take us on that journey.
Yeah, you bet. So first and foremost, obviously, as you know, and probably most of the racers out there that have come in contact with us, is we've really only been in the racing scene for a few years, even though we've followed it for years and years and years.
Right.
But for 25 years now, we've been in business supplying product from aluminum repair to low-temp multi-metal solder, brake line repair, to the auto industry, the auto body industry,
right,
and then plumbers and HVAC, refrigeration, the whole works.
Yep.
Right. But a few years ago, I started looking at the off-road scene, and I thought, you know what, this is just so ideal for it.
Yeah.
Because no matter if you're riding a motorcycle, right, and you run over a rock and you land on bad on a rock or something and break your case, we've got some of the only product in the industry that can actually fix it.
Right. And otherwise, you're done, right?
Yeah.
Like, without that, you're just done. Race is over, right?
Think of it from this standpoint. How many of the trucks or how many of these UTVs or motorcycles, you get a simple hole from a rock chip in a radiator?
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, we were just talking, in Bold Racing was just saying, they were out cruising around and got a tree branch, put a hole through it, and he was cursing my name, saying, "Where's that SolderWeld stuff?" And, I just laugh at it because, the thing is we're trying to stay ahead of the market as much as we can. The new Go kits that I was, just showing you.
Yes.
The off-road repair kit. If we put everything
I'll take a picture
in
of it now, and I'll put it up on social media while we're talking. But they're almost ready to go, and it'll have everything you need to be able to fix a brake line. It'll have everything you need to be able to fix a radiator on the fly. Yeah.
We've got the only flux in the industry that decontaminates the aluminum surface, so it allows guys to be able to make a repair in the middle of the desert or out on the trail or wherever it is. So I started looking at the industry, thinking we have a viable solution for a lot of these really simple things. Now, every racer out there is hoping they don't have to use our product.
Right.
But when they need it.
When it's there.
You know what I mean?
There.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I remember, when I first talked to you last year, it was right after Vegas to Reno, and you told me about your strategy of, like, one of the ways to get access into the market and really show what the product can do is getting it in the hands of racers.
Exactly.
And having them actually experience it, save their lives while they're doing the races, right? And then it speaks for itself. And I think just in the past year and a half, I've seen a ton of growth from the SolderWeld side. Like, I see them everywhere now, right? And we're sitting in a booth next to your booth, right? Bold Racing is where I'm recording from, and SolderWeld's right next to it. But I'm seeing SolderWeld stickers all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
James Dack is here, right? And he does a lot of recreational riding. He does some racing, and I see the SolderWeld sticker on his leg, right? So he's got a prosthetic
on his
leg.
Prosthetic, yeah.
And I think that's just cool stuff.
Yeah.
To be able to see that exposure. And I wanted to just capture a little bit more of that story from you, because I think it is a good story, and I think it's a good way of taking a business and repositioning it for a whole new market, right? And I think some of the same things that you've done with the racers, I've also seen it with plumbers and some of the HVAC people.
Sure.
Like, I've seen people on YouTube that they're like, yeah, I'm using SolderWeld product, and here's an example. So I just think that's kind of a cool strategy.
All right, so this is probably one of the biggest things. We all like the underdog, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And so SolderWeld is a family-owned company.
Yep.
We're a small company. We're
Yeah.
out of Spanish Fork, Utah, and the thing is that we're going up against some of the biggest names out there.
Yep.
From on the HVAC side of it, you've got your Harrises, your Worthingtons, your Lucases, and these companies out there, they produce millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they put out millions of rods.
Yeah.
Every single month to to all these guys. Now in the off-road industry, you've got some great names out there, but there isn't a product like ours that's readily available. So what we did is, and this has a lot to do with you, man.
Yeah,
it really
I
does,
appreciate
Josh. And when we first came out here, we're kind of taking a chance.
Yeah.
Let's see if the guys are receptive, and we realized that we had a niche, and that a lot of the racers out there and the recreational guys, they needed this.
Yeah.
And so we started in with sponsoring a few different people, a few different racers.
Yep.
But we're very big in the veteran community.
Yes.
And that is something that's Desert Vets Racing has been a great sponsorship for us. And they, put out some really great Instagram and Facebook and videos that of our stuff. We a couple races ago, we fixed one of the racers had a break in their brake line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, they were out of the race.
Yeah.
Spouting brake fluid everywhere, and they're throwing their hands up. Everybody's upset.
Yeah.
And they came running up to our booth and said, "Is there any way you guys can help us?" We ran down, fixed their brake line. They got in the race, finished the race.
That's incredible.
And they, their hands were up. There was nothing they could do.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff.
Yeah, that's incredible. And one thing that I want to highlight that people aren't going to be able to see from this audio is the shirt you're wearing. It's SolderWeld on one pocket, and then Desert Vets Racing in the other pocket.
We support our sponsors too.
And I think that's pretty cool. And it's something that we talked about. I also interviewed with Jimmy Moore of Bold Racing. Like, it's hard even to tell sometimes what's the difference between GSP XTV and Bold Racing. And even me sitting in this booth right now, sometimes it's hard to really tell what's what. And I think that's okay. Like, I like it.
Sure.
I think it's pretty cool to not really even be able to tell who's supporting who to an extent, because everybody's supporting each other.
Exactly.
And it's pretty cool. And even just having Desert Vets sitting in here and CLS Racing sitting in the same booth, we're all competing, right? These two people sitting in the same booth are competing against one another.
Absolutely.
But they're supporting a lot of the same companies and trying to grow motorsports in the same way.
Well, as well on top of that is, I think that racing already is a family.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
I mean, look at how many people come out just to support this guy or that guy or this racer or that racer. And, the girls in the industry, this is, the women racers are becoming huge too. They're just blowing up as well. So we're trying to be an active presence.
Yep.
But at the same time, we're trying to provide the best possible product we can, so that we're not just a name.
Yeah.
Hey, those guys are cool sponsors and they got money to give, but no, we actually have great product too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing I want to ask you too is, what do you look for in a brand ambassador? I mean, you talked a little bit about a few things that I think caught your attention with Desert Vets Racing, but what are the things that you are actively looking for out of somebody who you would sponsor?
All right, so there's always two things that I always go to no matter what, and you and I have talked about this a little bit, just because we have a pretty good presence on Instagram.
Yeah,
we've got a great following. We've got a lot of loyal followers and a lot of people that are just really pumped about the product, and so they support us. A lot of guys just like our swag too.
Yeah,
I mean, we're always coming up with some really cool stuff, but. When I go out there, I will always, one thing that social media is there to stay. So you post something out on social media, somebody's going to see it eventually.
Right.
And if it's inappropriate in manner and it's not about racing, if you are a racer, post appropriate racer information. You've got to look at this like a business.
Yeah.
And if you will see this as a business and not I'm just out here having a great time and I don't really care who I offend or who I bother, any of that stuff, then guess what? You're going to scare away a lot of sponsors, because we want to be represented in the most professional manner that we possibly can. As well as, the second thing is I want to see, if you don't have any sponsors at all, I want to see some video.
Yeah.
And I want to see some racing, and I want to see, even if you place dead last, because you don't have the money to be able to upgrade this or upgrade that, you know what? If you're posting video and you're getting out there in the social presence where people can see you, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I want video of you using our product.
Right.
I want video of you repping our product. We had some podium places from some of our smaller sponsors, and they're throwing out our name.
Yeah.
Every chance they get, they yell out SolderWeld, and I'm like, this is exactly why we love sponsoring you guys.
Yeah. I think it's a good point. Treating it like a business. We've definitely talked about that. Actually, Jimmy and I, we just recorded an interview before this one, and we talked about that even to the point of, if you're a racer, you probably should be investigating having an LLC at a minimum, just to even make it a little bit more serious.
Well, you have to think, if I'm, let's say we're going to do a financial sponsorship.
Yes,
if I'm cutting a check, I don't want to cut a check to Bob.
Exactly.
I want to cut a check to Bob's Racing.
Exactly. So I know that there's a number of people out there, especially in the bigger programs, that have that. But if you're just starting out, it's fairly easy to get that set up, and I think it's the right thing to do. Especially like you said, if you are seeking financial support, that's one additional credibility factor that you can put in place pretty easily.
Well, all sponsors take you more serious when you have a business.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of sending a check to who knows where.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good. Well, what else is it? You have anything else you want to kind of close things out with? Otherwise, we can get you back. I know you're doing demos right now. And
we got a big crowd over there.
Yeah.
No, it's good. We got Gage Racing. His car's in the booth right now. He's fast. It's gonna be a fast one. Of course, Bold Racing is and CLS.
Yeah.
We're all here. It's gonna be a good race tomorrow. I'm excited about everything. I'm really glad that you showed up, man. This is cool. We're getting some good footage out here too.
Awesome.
It's hot.
It's
hot down here, so it's going to be a hot one today. But we got the torch going. We're fixing radiators right now. We're doing demos using hot blocks, showing guys how to, keep heat from transferring. But basically, let me finish out with the idea that we're trying to come up with the best possible product for everybody out there. So we got the new Go kits, the new off-road repair kits. They'll strap right in on your UTVs and the trucks.
Yep.
Whatever it is you're racing, it'll throw into a toolbox or put it on your chase trucks, and it'll have everything you need in case you get like I said, a hole in a radiator or an oil canister.
Yeah. Yep.
And we'll make sure that you guys get the best fixes out there.
Yeah, and one thing cool I just want to highlight, man. So I've got the product right here. It's maybe, 2.5, 3 inches deep and
10 inches, 9 inches, tall.
Yeah, something like that, and that 10, 9 inches tall. But it looks like the wrap that Desert Vets has in their car, which has the SolderWeld logo
Killer camo
across it. So it looks really good, and it fits in with a lot of things that you talked about, like where you're strong with, your customer base, and I think that's pretty cool. So.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate everybody's support out there for what we're doing, and we're just trying to, make our mark, if you know what I mean.
Definitely. Well, hey, man, it was good talking to you.
Yeah, you too,
take
Josh.
care.
Thank you.
Get back to selling some product.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, welcome to this episode We're live here from the GSP XTV Axle Bold Racing booth, and Kristen Matlock is here now, getting ready to record an interview. So she was just on episode 91. At least that's what we think. Kristen and I are going back and forth.
Pretty sure.
We haven't checked officially, and I used to be able to remember this stuff, and now I just can't remember any of it. So either way, we think she was on 91 last. But we're gonna touch base here. I want to know a little bit from you, Kristen. Like, what's some of the PR work that you did to kind of prep for this race and to kind of promote your sponsors along the way?
Well, mostly social media. You know, I've been on Instagram and Facebook just trying to pump everybody up for this race.
Yeah.
And let all my fans know where they can track it and stuff like that. So, yeah, just getting everyone involved and excited and doing a lot of stories showing them exactly, you know, what we've been doing to prep for the race. You know, it might not be that exciting to watch, but, you know, it's kind of interesting if you don't really know what goes on at these events or before the event. So it's just cool to share all that.
Yeah, and last year at this time, the Instagram stories was not that big.
Right.
It's much bigger this year. And then there was a new feature that was released, which I've utilized a lot in promoting this event, is where you can, if you tag somebody in your Instagram story, they get an option to repost it to their Instagram story.
Correct.
With like just a bloop, just press a little button.
Yeah, so simple.
It's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
So, for this race, like Pleasant Cook, which is 4x4 Barbie, she's running with Jimmy Moore and Jimmy Moore Jr. in the Bold racing car. They're doing switch-offs, and we've all built off of each other's stories.
Right.
So I'll post something, tag both of them, they repost it, and then, we all get more exposure. And then obviously at that point, the various sponsors that are related to it get some benefits at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, the more people that share it, the greater.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. I did want to make sure that you got an opportunity to give your sponsors a shout out. I think last time we counted, it was like 34, so I don't know if I expect you to hit all those today, but I just want to give you an opportunity to maybe the big people that supported this race, you can shout them out as well.
Right, yeah. Actually, let me pull these up.
That's the way to do it.
I have so many of them. I don't want to forget anybody, so.
That's definitely the way to do it.
Yeah.
So even for my podcast now and just the people that I've been grateful for supporting me, it's harder to keep track of all the companies sometimes.
For sure. Yeah, I mean.
Especially when you get in the 30s, right?
Right.
That's something else there. That's definitely something else.
Okay, here we go. So, of course, Polaris Razors are #1 sponsor.
Definitely.
They've backed us 100% through all of this. And then we've got Maxxis Tires, Fox Shocks, Steal It, Cognito, Baja Designs, Simpson Race Products, Douglas Wheels, Cryo Heat, Rugged Radios, Alltech Motorsports, Factory UTV, Monster Seal, HMF Exhaust, Air Dam Clutches, IMS Products, Maxima Oils, Summers Brothers Axles, Safecraft, Motion Pro, Next Gen. Then we've got S&B Particle Separators.
Oh, yeah. I've been watching those guys. That's some cool stuff there. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's some cool stuff.
Yeah. SatellitePhoneStore.com. Shock Therapy, and BTI Performance.
Awesome.
Yeah, and actually we just added another one. Pro Eagle Jacks just took us on, so we're supposed to meet with them today and pick up our jacks right here.
Good deal. Good deal. That's another cool thing about being at an actual event. Even just me as somewhat of an outsider still to the industry, and I'm not a racer myself, but I watch somebody will say, oh, shoot, I need this. Right? They're like, where's... Okay, I see their booth.
Yeah.
And they go over to them and say, hey, I actually need one of these. And those transactions happen like almost immediately.
Oh, yeah. We just broke an antenna off of our race car, so we'll just head on over to Rugged Radio booth here and pick one up. And
that's pretty cool.
It's nice being here with everybody just set up with all their products.
Definitely. Yeah, and I was Lance Robinson was on this episode too. And actually the way that I'm going to publish this episode, I don't know if they were on before or after, but during the day they were on before. I don't know.
They're here.
They're here. Either way, I sat down with Lance and he was saying about one of the last races he was in, one of the racers that he didn't support blew one of their brake lines, so pretty much put him out of the race. And they saw the SolderWeld booth and they were like, hey, can you just help us? Like, we're going to be out of this race if we don't have some support. And he went over there, fixed it, right? They were able to finish the race.
That's awesome.
And then obviously promote that as well.
Yeah. That's the best advertisement right there.
Exactly. It's hard to get better than that. But just like you were saying, I broke my antenna. I need a new antenna. Okay, great. I know the right people to go to.
Yep, right here.
And then now we're talking about it, right, on the show. And the millions and millions of viewers.
Yep, they're coming. Yep.
But either way, it's just funny how those little stories kind of build on one another. So.
For sure.
Good.
Yep.
Well, what else? I mean, what else is on your mind, either prepping for this race or from the sponsorship element, and sharing what you've done with this race?
Yeah, I'm just excited. We've actually haven't slept in the last couple days because that's just the way it is. You know, no matter how much you prep for one of these big races. I mean, this one's over 500 miles.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to it. You got to make sure the car's perfect. So, yeah, we've had some sleepless nights. Last night we were on the Dre Lake bed in Jean, Nevada, down here testing with Adam from Air Dam Clutches till we didn't get here till 2 a.m. And actually, no, we got here at 1 a.m. and we were starving. So we went to the 24-hour cafe and had breakfast, quote unquote, at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we went to bed and woke up at 5:30 this morning to get back at it. So.
And then you're going to do that race. And if you're doing really well, right, you might finish in 12 hours or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on. Hopefully 11 and a half to 12.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a real fast one, so we'll see.
In this time, is it what, 5:30 is the official?
530 miles.
5:30. Do you remember what it was last year?
Right around there. I think it was more like 550. It was
I
a little bit
felt
more.
like it was more last year, but
yeah, they said they lost some miles towards the end.
Okay.
But yeah, they actually changed the course quite a bit. I tried.
Yeah.
I laid this map onto the other map just to see how close it was, and it's really not that close. I mean, it goes the same direction, of course. But
right.
But yeah, they're on one side of the highway versus the other this time. So I'm excited about the new terrain.
Yeah. That's
maybe
good.
it'll be twisty for me because that's what I need being in the naturally aspirated car.
Right.
I need it to be a little bit twistier so these turbos don't just smoke me out there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, looks like we might have our next guest coming in too. But
there's my husband.
Well, we'll kind of close things out. But one thing I just wanted to point out real quick, and it's just something that I think is unique to the racing industry, is, from the naturally aspirated class, there's a lot of competition there. But I'm sitting in a booth now with you, right? So you're racing naturally aspirated. CLS Racing is next to us. Bold Racing is right here, all in the same class. But they're letting you come and sit and talk about your program. And obviously the CLS team is sitting in the same booth, and it's just pretty cool how everybody does seem to take pretty good care of each other.
Sure.
But obviously if you're out in the race and Jimmy's in your way,
he might get a little bump.
He's going to get a little bump.
Yeah, I mean, I'll honk first. But
right. You get one honk and then
move over, buddy.
Then it's happening.
but no, if he's broken down on the side of the road or God forbid someone gets injured, we're right there for him. So.
Yeah, I've actually shared that with some people that I work with. They're not used to the desert racing scene at all. Not that I am, but in the one time I've really done it. But I've told people, someone flipped over, like Jimmy Moore in the last race, he actually flipped over.
Right.
And one of the racers stopped. I think it might have been dynamic racing. I don't remember. I could be wrong about that, but they stopped and helped him flip back over.
Right, yeah.
And people were at work, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
To race for that?
Yeah. doesn't that put you at a disadvantage? Well, maybe in that race, but I don't know. It might give you a better advantage for the next three.
Right.
I don't know how, but it might.
Yeah, it's called karma.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think at the finish line, if you let Best in the Desert know, they'll actually credit you too.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
Yeah.
See, that's cool too.
Yeah.
That's cool too, because then it helps promote that behavior.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want any injuries out there.
Yeah.
And if somebody's upside down, I mean, all the fuel's just dumping.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Then you risk fire. So
right.
Yeah, you got to help them right away.
Well, do you have any kind of last-minute closing advice for people who maybe they're trying to get their first sponsor or trying to get their next sponsor?
Yeah, just go out there and do your best at the races and just communicate, just email and make phone calls. If you can go face-to-face, I always say that's the best way.
Definitely.
And then, just get your name known and see what you can do. But
perfect.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
about it.
Well, thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you.
You have a great rest of your day and good luck on the race tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Safety is our overriding priority. I hear it all the time, but I have to ask myself, is it though? Is that the first thing we think of? Is that the first thing you think of? Over the past couple of years, we've seen the performance of production UTVs increase, somewhere around 350%. That means these machines give us a lot more opportunity to have fun and win races, but it also, unfortunately, gives us new opportunities to crash. And that's why we have partnered with Crash Addict Industries. The owner, Travis Pointer, became very accustomed to crashing early in his career. He saw it as inevitable, and he set out to make the process safer. With a passion for racing, welding, and engineering, Crash Addict Industries now produces full cage and other protection systems intentionally designed to protect you during an accident on the track. They also offer a line of human protection products through their vendors. Do this for me at this point. If you're racing with a stock cage right now, please go check out CrashAddict.com and at least just see what they have to offer. Even if you choose to go with a different company, please make safety your overriding priority.
What's up, everyone? George Hamill here. As a professional off-road racer, I'm always seeking a competitive advantage. My vehicle, tools, and products must perform flawlessly for me to excel on the racetrack. I only use products that help me succeed and provide me an edge over my competition. One critical area that affects racing is weight, and this is certainly true for UTV racing. Mud, dirt, and grease can accumulate under the vehicle and on the tires, decreasing speed and performance. So in 2017, we partnered up with Never Lift Racing and their amazing product Armor Coat. This spray-on product performs. Not only does it reduce the effect of mud while racing, but it also makes cleanup quicker and gives my vehicle a professional appearance on race day. Armor Coat spray is a critical part of our race program. Grab some today. You'll be amazed.
Whether you are a professional racer like George or a weekend warrior like myself, Armor Coat can make a huge difference in your life. Armor Coat from Never Lift Racing is a unique solution formulated to help prevent mud, clay, and ice from sticking to the surfaces that you treat. This cuts your cleanup time in half while keeping your machine looking new. So I want you to go check out ArmorCoatProducts.com for the latest off-road care products.
All right, well, welcome to this section of the Sponsor Rider Club podcast, which is powered by AMSOIL. Today and right now, I've got Wayne Matlock here from Matlock Racing. We also just had Kristen sitting in the booth, and Kristen was featured on episode 91 of this show. But one of the things we talked about was that, Wayne, one of your roles in the racing part is, the sponsorship deals, doing a lot of that, the management portion of it. So I want to talk about that some, but kind of first to kick things off, for this race right here, the Vegas to Reno, and just other things you've done in the racing world, what's something unique that maybe you've done to prep your sponsors for something cool coming, or maybe just to make your program stand out? Just something unique that has been a good marketing ploy for you and your program.
I would say, as of lately, my best marketing employee is my wife.
Yeah, right on.
We're a unique team. It's husband and wife team.
Yep.
And, there's other ones out there, but we've had we've had some pretty fortunate success.
Yeah.
And it's paying off. Sponsors are loving it, and sponsors really like seeing a female driver out there.
Yeah, yep.
And then they really like seeing a female driver win.
Right.
So it's been really good.
That's awesome.
It's been easier to get sponsors lately.
Yeah.
They're calling us, and instead of me calling and begging, definitely still doing that too.
Yeah. Right.
So it's that's what makes us unique and stand out.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
more of the family aspect of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kristen and I talked about that a little bit on her full episode, but it is, I think it's very good for you to pay attention to what your program is doing, where it's seeing success at, and leveraging that. That might mean shifting gears, right? Like, okay, if we're going to take a picture together, Kristen, I want you in front, right?
Right, yeah.
Because we want to make sure that that's what we're going after right now. One of the guys that I work with, he does drag racing with his kids, and he made a similar decision recently. He's like, his oldest son, I think maybe he's 12 or 13 or something, he's doing really, really well. And he's like, he's good in front of people. He's good with the sponsorship stuff. He's actually decided now to take a step back and put his son out in the spotlight, because that's where the success is going to come from right now.
Yeah.
So he's like, he still races, but when he goes out there, he's making sure that his kid is more successful than he is right now. Because that's really the thing that's working well for them.
Yeah, it's working well for us, and luckily right now we're still, we're both real competitive people.
Yeah, yes.
So I don't want to give her an inch; she doesn't want to give me an inch.
Right.
So we've had good luck in Baja this year. There's been 2 races. I pulled off the win at the first one, and then Kristen pulled off the win at the 500.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And now we're here at Vegas to Reno, and see how it shakes out here.
Definitely.
But it's been a lot of fun. The whole thing has been, and it's really exciting for me to see the response that she's been getting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and actually, we talk about this in the show quite a bit too. The female racer is coming in their own right now. basically based on the world today, women have more access to things, which is great. I wish we wouldn't have taken so long to get there, but they have more access to things. But the UTV specifically, I think, have leveled the playing field physically too, because it's hard sometimes for a woman to compete on a dirt bike.
Correct.
To the same level as a man, but like if you get into a truck or a UTV or something else like that, it's actually an advantage now from a weight perspective too.
Right. It's like Kristen's been racing quads for a long time.
Yes.
When I was racing quads, and she was always really competitive.
Yeah.
She would get top 5, and she's even won a race, beat all the guys on a quad, but it was rare, and she just didn't have the physical strength. 125 pounds.
Yeah.
She can't throw the quad around as well as I can.
Right.
So she was at a disadvantage on that. And then when she got into a car, it's turning a steering wheel and working a throttle pedal.
Right.
So if you can read terrain and you have the natural ability, you don't need physical strength.
Right.
So
I think
you
that's
need
great.
to be smart, need to pick good lines.
Yeah.
And it levels the playing field between men and women.
Yeah, definitely.
Instantly.
And I think from the sponsorship perspective too, like you were saying, Kristen's doing well from a marketing standpoint, and it seems like sponsors are on board with that. Well, they want the female population to grow too.
Exactly. There's a huge market there, untapped market there. And
exactly.
It's all growth.
Exactly.
Right now it's just coming into its own. So it's neat to see where it's going.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at people now. Redneck Hubert just walked by, so I figure I gave him a wave. If you look at the 10 to 15-year-old girls out there right now, a lot more of them are interested and excited about racing. They're following Kristen, they're following Sarah Price, they're following Amy Hood, whoever it is. And those people, they're going to be buying UTVs in the future. They're going to be buying tires. They're going to be buying axles.
Well, they look at it, and it's always been a male-dominated sport.
Yeah.
Even recreation-wise.
Yep.
You go to the desert, you don't see women driving their own side-by-sides.
Right.
But now you're seeing more and more of it where, especially with these younger girls, are seeing women like Kristen and Sarah and these other girls and Lucretia. These young girls are seeing these women do this, and they're like, well, I want to do this. I could do this. I don't have to do the traditional female sports.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's interesting to them, and it levels the playing field.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of haters out there, like no doubt. There's a lot of haters that I hear a lot of things say, not about Kristen, but just about women in motorsports. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, well, they're using their looks to market themselves."
Yeah.
But fine, whatever. A lot of those women work really hard to be able to do that.
Yeah, they do, and you get women that use their looks to their advantage. You get men that use their strength to their advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You use what you have to use to get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
To a certain point. So it's the same thing in marketing. If Jimmy Johnson was 450 pounds and not a good-looking guy, he wouldn't have the ride he has.
Right.
So it's all about that stuff.
Yeah, and it comes down to the dollars in the end too. Like what we were just talking about, the market for female riders and racers right now is largely untapped. Even if this audience that listens to the show, I think it's still 85% men. Yeah, maybe 83% men.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat now seeing Kristen have the success because like you've heard things, we've heard things too. Oh, Kristen got a ride because she's female, good-looking girl, and players just wanted another female behind the wheel, and now she's backed that up with some big wins. Not just a win here or a win there.
Right,
some big overall wins. Yeah. When she goes out and beats the whole field in a natural aspirated car, it kind of validates everything.
Definitely.
And it validates the support Polaris gives us.
Yeah.
And all of our sponsors. Everyone puts in a lot of hard work, and our crews and everything.
Definitely. Well, Kristen went through and did a sponsor shout out, so she actually had her list pulled up and she hit all 30.
Of course she did.
But I don't know if there's any other just specific shout outs that you wanted to give.
Our main backer and supporter through all this stuff is definitely Polaris Razor.
Yep.
They support us, not only on the track but off the track.
Right.
They support our kids and everything. It's a whole family environment.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we've been successful too. I think is we're more marketable as a family team.
Yeah.
You get guys out there that may that do really well.
Yeah.
Doing what they do, where they're real loud and they boisterous and and they get a good following and stuff. But we're kind of the opposite direction of that.
Yeah.
It's more of a family aspect of things, and Polaris really stands behind us on that.
Yeah.
And we have other companies in Maxxis and Fox. Fox really supports us, and Maxxis and Cognito Motorsports came on board with us this year.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of them.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, don't worry, Kristen got them all.
Yeah.
She had her list.
If you could just dub her voice in right here.
they've all been captured for sure. Well, hey man, I really appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a lot to do today to prep for the race. So I appreciate it. You take care, man.
Okay, thank you.
Right,
appreciate it.
Bye. All right, well, we're sitting down here again at the Vegas to Reno Tech and Contingency, and I've actually got a new guest. I'd say this is an ad hoc conversation. So you had a salesperson come up to me, right? Salesperson, I'm pointing fingers at him right now, and said, hey, let's talk a little bit about Race to Race 22. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about Race to Race, and then we'll get into a few questions on sponsorship.
Well, my name's Debbie Burgos, and I've been in off-road racing since four-wheelers were three-wheelers.
Nice.
So that tells you kind of how long.
Nice.
And we were involved with Scott Racing and helped another program out, a vet program, for several years. And then that program decided they wouldn't come out west and participate in off-road racing. So I saw the difference that made for veterans. And I said, well, listen, we need to do something. And Tony Scott so generously stepped up and said, I'll build a new 3-seat truck. And if you'll start an organization and do the fundraising and get sponsors, and that's how we started. And it's really, we raise awareness about military suicide.
Yeah.
The VA came out with a report in 2012 that said approximately 22 vets kill themselves every single day.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you that number's a lot higher, and I'm sure most veteran organizations will tell you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we're first raising awareness because many civilians, especially civilians, do not know that.
Yeah, right.
And in order to fix the problem, you first have to know about the problem.
Yes.
So that's a big part of our program is to raise awareness, and then we provide resources, not our organization, but there's so many wonderful resources out there that we provide that information. So if you'll go to our booth, you'll see there's brochures from all different types of activities. And that's what we believe. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just want to shine a light on them. So that's our goal in that aspect. We also have a memorial wall. It's called Gone But Not Forgotten.
Okay.
And that has the faces and stories of approximately 23 to 25 veterans that have killed themselves over the last few years. And that is to honor those we've lost, share their stories, so hopefully in the future it'll prevent someone else from taking their own life. And also to honor their families, because that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
You know, when you lose someone, especially to suicide, they're gone. There's so many questions answered, and so much, you're just confusion and guilt. And if we can just keep their memory alive, I think we've done a great service for the family, and they really appreciate it. So it means a lot to them.
Yeah, definitely.
And the racing part, really, it comes. We call it recreational therapy.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than getting in, a 4-seat or 2 4-seat vehicle, or even a motorcycle, and traipsing through the desert. Now, of course, Tony goes a lot faster than just traipsing. So we provide active duty, and we provide veterans opportunity to get into off-road vehicle. Tony has a F100 3-seat vehicle.
Yes.
And we participate in actually professional off-road races, like we're here today at the Vegas to Reno, and give vets and active duty a chance to race with a team and really be part of it's a group effort. No man left behind. It's similar. We feel it's very similar to military life because it's a team effort. You're working towards a common goal, and it's so exciting. So there's nothing more exciting than going 120 across the desert.
Right. And first off, that truck it's a head turner, and it's one you remember, right? So I remember it from last year. I just never talked to you guys at that point, but that's part of it. But to make it a head turner, right? It requires a lot of work, a lot of sponsors, a lot of support. So tell us a little bit about that, maybe things that you've done in the past to attract and retain sponsors, or even some of the sponsors that you currently have right now.
Because there's no program out there that can do it without having sponsorship.
Right.
And we are all volunteer, and everything is from donations that we get from the public and product sponsorship. And I think the biggest part really was social media.
Yeah.
You have to have, if you want to retain sponsors especially, you need to have a social media program and one that you're active in and over different platforms. No, don't just stick with Facebook. You need to do Twitter. You need to do Instagram. And because I think that's what you can promote, not only your program, but then you can promote your sponsors. And make sure to learn how to tag and hashtag and so that they see it and then that they're getting the recognition they deserve. Because it's all about advertising, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest success. So as you grow your followers, you'll notice your doors will open. More sponsors will look. Now we're so blessed because we have, in the off-road industry especially, because I find that most sponsors are huge military supporters.
Yes.
So whenever we say, hey, this is what we're doing, they're usually, how can we help?
Yeah.
And so then we just have to work to keep them as our sponsor. And it's about, putting out a good image too.
Yeah.
I think people forget that, and once you put, somebody's sticker on your vehicle, you're representing them, whether you know, and you need to be accountable for it. So if you want to maintain, especially if you're going after bigger sponsors, you really need to have put a great front foot, face out there for them.
Yeah.
I think it's important. People don't realize it.
Yeah.
But it does. Even if you're this smaller team, still, if you're hashtagging and you're bringing attention to your program, and you have, let's say, BFG, because we're standing right in front of
right there. Yeah,
they're right over there. If you have them, you don't want to sit out there and trash a hotel or whatever you're doing. Whatever can happen. It's not. You got to have a great. You want to be respectful, and our sport needs. We need that kind of image.
Yeah, definitely. And, we talked about this a little bit on this show before. That image is bigger, too, than just attracting and retaining sponsors. It also is going to create challenges. If we don't maintain the image, it creates challenges with being able to continue to do what we do.
Absolutely.
I know with the snowmobile world, which is something that I'm a part of, too, we're losing access to some of our riding areas because, there's concerns about damaging the natural surroundings.
Correct.
But if you're out there and you're leaving garbage all over the place or...
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. We're in a battle, in fact, in Nevada. Funny that you should say that. We're right now in the biggest battle of our life because in Jean area, in Prim area, where the Mint 400 right now is, several snow races, motorcycle Morans out there. They're trying now to turn that into an airport housing.
Okay.
We just went before the city council, or not city council, Clark County. In fact, they just appointed myself and several, Donald Jackson from Best in the Desert, some Moran representatives, Snore representatives, to a committee, an OHV committee.
Okay.
We're going to be hopefully working with government agencies to help protect recreational, not just off-road racing, but just OHV enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Because they're also not only on that end of our state or our city, on the other end, where the historical Mint 400 course was by the Paiute area, now we have solar energy. There's 300, I just learned today, 300 applicants.
Oh, wow.
That area is where we test in, we recreate. There's several really good trails there. Again, the historical Mint 400 was there. We were hoping to go back there. If we lose that land and we lose Prim, I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And that can't happen. It's got to be fair. The thing is, we all need to come together as off-road recreationists, not just racers, because we have a very powerful voice.
Right.
We just haven't utilized it.
Right.
And we need to.
Yeah, and we've talked about this on the show, too, around if we have other companies that believe in that and they have power as well as companies and corporations, they can help lobby to ensure we still can continue to do what we do now.
Right.
That's good stuff.
In fact, if people, that's what we're looking at, because so anybody, it's not just like motorcycle shops here, off-road vehicles, truck shops. Steve August with Team 4 was awesome, and he came to the Clark County meeting and spoke before them because it's going to hurt anybody that has any kind of off-road trucks, anything of that kind of, it's going to hurt their industry. And we need to really stand up and make our voices heard. And we can. I really, truly feel that we can make a difference, but we got to show them that we have the power in the election polls, in the election, booth, as well as the dollar. And it's going to take everyone, businesses, people in the off-road industry, just regular recreationists to come together, voice our opinions, and let them know that, no, you know what, it's time that we save some of our land for public use.
Yes, definitely. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
And there's a lot going on here, so for you to carve out like 15, 20 minutes, it's been phenomenal. Actually, well, no, we might round it out at 9 minutes.
All right.
It was so much good content, though.
I thought it was,
But yeah, I really appreciate it. You take care.
Thank you
Good
so
luck.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club Podcast, episode 100. Super excited to get this out there. It was a blast to record, and I purposefully left some of the background noise in so that you could kind of feel the presence of the vehicles and just like the atmosphere of Vegas to Reno Tech and Contingency Day. It's such a cool experience. It was amazing being able to sit down with these awesome people, get their perspective, make eye contact with them and hang out with them, before the interview, after the interview, and just see them walking around. It was a fantastic experience. I really have to thank Bold Racing and GSP XTV Axles for giving me access to a recording location and then giving me also access to being a part of the race team. I got to ride along with Bold Racing and Pleasant Cook, the entire pit crew. It was a phenomenal experience. It's my second year doing it, and I absolutely love it. So it helps me better connect with the racers out there, helps me better understand the challenges that they go through before a race, during a race, after a race, and the amount of time that you really don't have when you're at these races and you're prepping for events. And I just want to thank the entire Bold Racing crew for giving me that opportunity. All right, well, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I hope you're excited for the next one where we focus in on Jimmy Sr., Jimmy Jr., and Josh Moore of Bold Racing. And I hope that you were able to catch our last live episode on Facebook, which was actually last night if you're listening to this on the day it was released. And August 20th was when we recorded our live episode with Jace Simmer of Racing Addix. So good stuff there. If you missed it, it will be released as a audio-only version as well. All right, well, I look forward to serving you again next week. Until then, have fun and ride safe.